Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Capes Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new friend, Joe Corallo. We're here to break down Dahlia in the Dark and Happy Horror Days and everything in between. How are you doing, Joe? Welcome to the stream today.
I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad, not too shabby. We are, of course, keeping it geekly, and that is the best way to keep it on a very cold Thursday afternoon. But before we dive into the comic talk, Joe, welcome to the show. Give us a little bit about who you are and how you got into creating comics.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. I just started reading comics regularly around third grade. I got into it with the Sonic the Hedgehog comics, and continued reading comics. Started getting into it, like wanting to do them, I'd say. But by 2010, I decided I really want to put the effort in to really make comics. Had my first comic self-published in 2011. Got my first short picked up for an anthology in 2015. Edited my first anthology in 2017, and things just kept going from there.
That is so awesome. Give us a little bit about that first comic that you had published. What was that about?
The first short I had published, or the first thing I self-published?
Either or, both if you'd like.
Well, the one I had in that anthology, I should have it right here. So let me grab that. And this was in Geeks Presents Power, and I had a 4-page story that I collaborated on. I can pull up the pages here with Let's see this here. This was like a Legion of Superheroes type story I wanted to do, but you'll notice the artist is Sam Johns.
Wow.
Who's done a bunch of stuff as a writer, Boom and DC. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That was your first story?
That was my first published comic.
Wow, dude. How did it feel working with someone like that? Like right off the rip, that is like an awesome introduction.
Yeah, no, I mean, we both didn't really have anything, published or anything at that point. So, so that was interesting. I knew Sam because I worked by the Midtown Comics downtown location that she worked at. I would sometimes bring her cookies on New Comic Book Day on Wednesday, things like that.
Get some free comics. I see you.
I always paid for my comics at Midtown Comics, but yeah, it was nice.
So, what was? Can you give us a little bit about what that story was about? A little bit more, I guess. What the concept was?
It was like a far future situation where the universe was basically ending, and these two sort of like superhero like characters at the end of the universe figuring out what to do. And one of them was more of a Phantom Girl type, and then the other one was more of a Brainiac 5 type. So you had sort of this more computer intelligence type character, and this phasing character sort of at the end, and creating sort of your own bubble, your own reality to live out those last few moments in.
Oh, I love that a lot. That is awesome. So you had a couple anthologies after that before you started self-publishing?
Yeah, before that I was self-publishing. So I self-published a couple of series. The first one I did was with this guy, Bob Wolf, who now has a very large gaming YouTube channel. He's got I think over 750,000 subs.
Wow.
And has been guests at cons and stuff like that. I ran into him at this past New York Comic Con. That's usually where I see him. I end up running into him in Artist Alley every year at New York Comic Con, and we catch up for a few minutes. But that was one of my first. That was my first real major collaboration, and then the one I followed that up with. I worked on self-publishing a few comics with Danny Luckert, who has gone on to do a lot of collaborations at Image with Colin Bunn. He did Red Mother at Boom Studios. So that's sort of where it had started. But then I did the Mine anthology to benefit Planned Parenthood, and Max Sasha was in that. And then she needed an editor to come in for the next volume of Kim and Kim. So since I already edited her on that, and that was like fresh off that, she asked me to do that. I edited that volume, and then like Vault was aware of what I was doing. They had picked up Mine, and I had pitched to them, and they picked up. She said the story. Like it all just keeps going. You just build that momentum.
Yeah. How was it being an editor and kind of taking a break from writing?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm editing series right now. I'm editing Cherish over at Dynamite, and I'm editing the Carmen line, which is a graphic novel. It was announced from Mad Cave Studios that it's featuring the work of Dennis Hopeless and Pietro Kowalski, and Brad Simpson on art or on colors. So really looking forward to that coming out as
awesome.
well. Yeah, so I've gotten to dabble to do a bunch of editing things. I've edited other things too, and I'm actively editing other projects as well. So it's fun. I like both. So
let's start breaking into some outside of anthologies, some of your comic book works that you've done.
Sure. Yeah, no. She Said Destroy. It was the first series for both myself and Liana Kangas, who has Know Your Station out right now over Boom Studios. But yeah, I believe her first published like comics work. She's done art and I think some sequential art, but it was, I believe, academic and things like that leading up to this. But her first published work was in Mine, doing a story with Pat Shand, and we ended up meeting in person at a signing at Forbidden Planet we did for the book, and ended up talking. And she was the first artist I approached about She Said Destroy and wanted to do it, and Vault was the first publisher I approached about doing She Said Destroy, and they wanted to do it. So
that's so cool.
It ended up working out. That is not a typical story. That rarely happens. I know it'll ever happen again, but I really lucked out from that. And then Mad Cave, like She Said Destroy, reached out to me. That's how I ended up doing Beckstar, and then they liked what I was doing with Beckstar, so that's how I got to do Dahlia in the Dark.
So what can you give us before we dive into Dahlia in the Dark? What was Beckstar like?
Beckstar was a lot of fun. It was very like sci-fi adventure fun, like some like anime vibes, like definitely went through some like Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star and stuff like that while trying to figure it out. But yeah, just it was important to me that like every issue had like a different locale to really emphasize that this is a big universe. So like they're on a satellite first issue, they're on a strange planet the next one, another strange planet the next one, flying through asteroids, like an asteroid field the next one. Just kept wanting to change locale and give it that frantic pace. So
no, I love that. And speaking of Mad Cave Studios, we have we're gonna be talking about Dahlia in the Dark. We are on issue 3. We have a week for pre-order, so get those in, guys. Right there is a link to Previews World to get that in your hand. Also issue 1 and issue 2. Issue 2 drops in January, correct?
Yes, that's out January 18th, I want to say. But yeah, that comes out in January, and then the first issue's out now. It came out last week. I've already done a couple of signings. I flew up to Buffalo to sign at the Pulp 716. I had never been to that store before.
That's
but
so
I've been aware
cool.
of it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that was a lot of fun going up there.
They had they do the donation jar to give kids free comics, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff there, and it's also a coffee shop and a boba tea shop. Like they've got a lot of really cool stuff there, and they're all great. They have 2 locations. One's in North Tonawanda, and the other one's in Lockport. But not far from the Buffalo airport, so it was very easy for me to get up there, do that, and then. Had a signing this past Saturday over at Fourth World Comics on Long Island, which isn't terribly far from me. So I got to enjoy, going there, signing again. I've done a few signings there at this point, but that was great.
Oh, that is cool. Congratulations on all the signings too, man.
Thank you. And then this Saturday, I'm going to be at East Side Mags in Montclair, New Jersey, so North Jersey. So if anyone's listening and happens to be in that area or that's their shot, I'll be there from 1 to 5 on Saturday.
So is it like a surreal feeling to be traveling and doing signings for your books at this point? You know, having like worked on like anthologies and kind of like working your way up, like to be at this point, this has to be such an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah, no, it is awesome. I've been doing it for a little bit now because I did some traveling for mine promoting that. You know, I did signings in, not just New York, but went up to Boston, went down to Philadelphia, flew out to Chicago, and also did a signing while I was out in Seattle for Emerald City. Back in this would have been Emerald City in 2018. So yeah, I've had that opportunity to do that. I enjoy it. It's nice to check out different shops, go back to shops I haven't been to in a while. And it's just great.
No, that's cool. So give us a little bit about what Dahlia in the Dark's about.
Well, it's basically like an urban fantasy crime noir kind of comic. I should probably said crime noir first because it's more focused on that, but it's the fantasy world backdrop. Washed up hitman, is sort of got an estranged daughter he would like to reconnect with. So definitely elements of crime noir comics and those sort of things, but also pulling in from fantasy. I've always loved fantasy. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons before it was cool. Back when third edition was, I know it's been out for a long time, but in 2000, I was at I was in 10th grade and I started playing D&D in third edition before 3.5. And, I all sorts of games like that, GURPS and Rifts and whatnot, a Changeling, Vampire the Masquerade, things like that. So I wanted to pull some elements of different fantastical creatures and also some of that setting. And, blending that together. I mean, I think there are plenty of comics that do those kind of things, like Fables, I think did a really good job, like kind of blending these different genres with like fantasy and whatnot. So wanted to do that, but then there's also some other things splashed in, like that movie The Wrestler definitely pulled some elements from things like that, of the the father with the estranged daughter kind of angle. That's a great movie. It was one of, if not the last movie I think I rented at a Blockbuster.
Oh wow, there's so many throwbacks. You're talking about D&D. I just read something the other night. There's one of the bigger companies for D&D is trying to offer like a pay to win type of deal. I was like, wow, like how can you even do that?
Yeah, I don't know, but sure. I guess I was figuring it out.
But Blockbuster, man. So I'm picking up. Have you ever seen Falling Down?
Yes.
So with Michael Douglas, I'm kind of picking up those vibes too, like the dad, like the strange vibe, but he's not a hitman, of course. But how do you incorporate the hitman aspect? It sounds like a wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, there are like little vignettes and like flashbacks, kind of like in the beginning of the first issue, to kind of tell that story. So we do go back, we see things he's done in the past to put it in the context of the present. It was important to me to kind of take that angle rather than exposition dump. It's really easy to, I don't want to be too condescending, but it's very like, you can throw up things in like caption boxes and whatnot, or you can show the story. Not that there aren't any captions, but I thought it was more powerful to show little vignettes of him interacting with his daughter in different ways over the years. So every issue at some point has like something where he's like having some sort of interaction with like his daughter or his wife in the past, so it can all kind of be put into perspective.
Oh, I love this. And the interiors are so gorgeous too. Can you give us a little bit about the creative team that's involved?
Yeah, Andre Milana, he did the all of the art. He did, pencils, inks, colors, the whole thing. And then, Micah Myers is the letterer. I just worked with him on Neverending Party, which I co-wrote with Rachel Pollack, and Eva Cabrera did the line work for at Comixology Originals, and that'll be printed next year in a trade. So it was nice to have Micah again to letter that. But yeah, Andre, I was given a few artists to look at from Man Cave. I was like, let's ask Andre first, and they agreed, and Andre was available, and it all worked out. But he really does such a fantastic job, and we were on the same page for like just about all of it. I mean, there were so few times where either of us needed to clarify something to the other person.
Like, that's like perfect.
Really, yeah.
So what's that look like? Like handing them script, do you kind of just give him a little bit of guidelines and let him take the wheel, or like how's that work?
Yeah, I tend to write pretty detailed scripts. What I tend to do is I'll say what's happening on the page at the top of like, okay, this is page 5. This is what happens on the page. Then I'll do a breakdown of all the panels and where the panels are placed on the page. Then, I'll do like dialogue and all of that. And, really, I put more detail out there. So then if, Andre or whoever I'm working with is like, I think this will work better, they at least are, they have the context of everything. So if I'm saying something, this is the main thing I want to get across, and they think of a better way to do it, it's informed. So there's very little miscommunication. It's like, oh, well, I think if we place these things here, we're going to get across what you're really trying to do here. So, and even then, there wasn't that much of that. But, every once in a while, it would be like, okay, I think I figured out a better way. And, every time it worked, it was like, great. You figured it out in a way that it is going to be more dynamic or visually, enticing. So let's do that.
So issue 1 is out and available. Where can people buy it? Is it preferable like at the local comic book shop, or where is it the best that they can buy to benefit you the most?
Yeah, I think their local comic shop, absolutely. If you don't have one, you can order directly through Mad Cave's website. But we'd love to see it sell out at the retailer level. So as long as it's available and can be ordered, we would love if you'd ask your shop to order it, because you still should be able to. I believe it's still available on the distributor level. So if your store doesn't have it, it would be ideal to see if they can order it. But if not, you can order it directly through Man Cave's website.
And once again, here is the link for the pre-order. Be sure to check this out, guys. You have about a week left on it. But that's not the only thing that we're here talking about today. You have also another awesome series that is coming out, available for pre-order as well. And this time it's not on Mad Cave Studios. This is on Archie Comics.
Yeah, it just came out yesterday. I'm still I'm excited to go out there on Saturday and see it in person. But happy Horrordays. It's just in time for Christmas. It's 3 Christmas and holiday themed horror stories. I got to work on a story there with I'm trying to, I don't want to butcher his name, but
and pronunciations are like the bane of my existence.
Yeah, Patrick Piazzalunga, I want to say is how you pronounce that. I've never said his last name out loud, so I apologize if it's wrong, but I think it's Piazzalunga. But we worked. I thought it came out great. I was very excited with everything, especially since I don't want to give it away, but there's a couple of tricky visuals. When you're dealing with horror and trying to maximize the horror, that there were kind of like 2 different reveals of something terrifying, and I believe Patrick really nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy with how it came out. This is my second Archie horror story I got to. I really focus on characters like Reggie's the focus, but Midge, Moose, Sugar Plum, Jingles, Reggie's family, like they all pop up. It was a lot of fun to do that. I got to write Jinx and Dilton last time, so I'm slowly working my way through all of
That's
the
awesome.
These different core Archie characters that I love. So I really love getting to play around in Riverdale. I hope they let me do it again sometime. It was great. But yeah, if you like Christmas horror, which I love, I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 the other day. I had not seen that one. I've seen the first two. And I'm looking forward to going through Black Christmas, the original, not the remake.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, sometime next week, probably. But yeah, it's excited about all that. I love the blending of those two genres. So.
It's not horror, but Violent Night that just recently dropped a few nights ago, and it's like just over the top, like gory, like Christmas, like Santa Claus just beating the crap, killing people.
Oh, yeah.
But it was awesome. I loved it. My girlfriend hated it, but I thought it was hilarious.
Nice. No, I'm planning on watching that at some point before Christmas. I have a friend who wants to see it, so maybe next week.
I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. So it seems like you have just written so many different genres. For everyone watching, right here is the pre-order for that comic. Be sure to check it out as well. What's been your favorite genre to write?
That's tough because I tend to look at stories by the characters and what's happening with them, and the genre is a bit more of like a backdrop. But I'll always have a soft spot for like science fiction, probably first then fantasy. But I love it all. I've gotten to do a lot of horror. Horror is a lot of fun. Horror is easy to also like attach to other things. You could like it's an easy hybrid kind of genre. So like I got to do a sci-fi horror with Liana. We co-wrote that with Paul Zucchetto on art for TKO with TKO Presents.
Holy crap!
It was. What was it? TKO Shorts #1, Seeds of Eden. So yeah, that was great. I love for people to check that out as well if they haven't. It was a lot of fun. It was fantastic working with Paul. So.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, it's so cool that you got involved with Archie. How did that end up happening, if you don't mind me asking? Doing 2 horror stories.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I guess I did all right with the first one because after that came out, I was asked to do another one. So,
no, that is so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations, man. Is there any
Thank
other
you.
projects in the future for you that you're working on, or is like everything kind of just under the sheets right now?
A lot of it is. I can't talk about. I am editing another series coming up, but I can't talk about that yet. And I'm also. Working on my first graphic novel, which I also can't talk about yet, but I finished the outline for that. So I'm waiting for any additional, like I did the outline, got notes, sent it back, waiting for additional information. But, I can't talk about that yet either. But, I am actively, working on things in both the capacity of editor and writer for comics next year.
And so you have such a busy plate. I love it. We were just chatting and just talking about 2 comics, and then you're just like naming off a list. I'm like, holy crap, this dude has a whole discography of them. Like, it sounds like 23 is going to be an awesome year for you as well. Once again, guys, here is the link to pre-order Archie. Happy Horrordays from Archie. Man, before we go, I got to ask you, I always love ending the show on a strong note with a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new. And it's hard. I want to I'm leaning towards, because you've worked with so many different people, but you've also like done so much. So like the burnout or working with other artists. So I think the best one to capitalize right now would be working with different artists. So as someone who's just done like such a phenomenal like amount of work with like so many different artists and creators, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone who might be new coming into the comic industry, trying to work with a creator for the first time?
If possible, try to familiarize yourself with what they've worked on before, and try to, especially like if you're a writer, try to, and you want to work with certain artists, try to give them stuff that they want to draw. That's, it's important. It sounds silly sometimes, but you want to get the best out of someone. If you can get an artist that is so happy with the material they're working with that in addition to it being a job, you have to treat it like a job. You have to give them, pay them accordingly, all of that. Like, if it's also something they're looking forward to doing, it's going to look better. That's just how it is. Like, you can't help it. If you genuinely love the idea, it's something you want to draw, you might get that extra oomph there that's going to make the story stand out. But if you treat it too much like it is a collaboration, so you are going to do better if you treat it as a collaboration and not treat it as, this is my vision and I need someone to help me realize my vision. So it's about kind of like balancing that.
No, absolutely. I think giving the artist something to draw that they want to draw, like they'll look forward to it. It won't be something where they're like, like, oh, I gotta draw this. They're gonna be like, I have to draw this because I want to draw this. And I think that's where you get like the best pieces of work out of them. Fully agree. That's awesome. Thank you, Joe. This has been such an awesome chat. I appreciate you coming on here, breaking down both books, man.
Yeah, no problem. And there's more Dahlia to come. I hope people are check out the first issue. If your store doesn't have it, you can get them to order it. It's still available at the distributor level. If you don't have a shop, check out Mad Cave's website and order it directly.
Absolutely. And once again, here's the link for Archie as well, the Happy Horror Days. And where can, same thing with that too, they get it from Archie in the local comic shop as well?
Yeah. If you can get it from your local comic shop, great. If you don't have a local comic shop, you can order it directly from Archie's website.
No, that is awesome. Everybody, it is the day after New Comic Book Day. Treat yourself. Get yourself 2 awesome books. You still have time to pre-order these awesome titles. That being said, it is time for us to wrap up. Joe, thank you so much for swinging by. Everyone watching, have an awesome day, but most importantly, keep it geekly.